All right, everybody. I guess we're recording. Here we are again. Turn that off. Here we are again. Real Deal is back one more time. See if we can give me a day off coming up. Get these videos out of the way. We've got a very important date tomorrow. Today is Monday, and tomorrow is the annual town meeting for the town of Townsend, May 6, 2025, and it's going to be a big one. There's not a lot of articles, but there's a lot of community anxiety regarding the articles that are on the agenda, or on the warrant, I should say. And I'm going to go through all the articles. I'll advertise for, I did another video on the articles 18 and 19 for the main event. They're the very last articles that are going to be discussed um, on the warrant at town meeting. So I did a separate video because of the importance of those two articles. And I please ask that you watch that video. I'm not going to go into them at much detail in this video. Again, I'll keep referring you back to that video so that you can get a full understanding. I think there will be questions, and I'm hoping that if as many people as possible watch the video, they'll get my answer. I know there's no way anybody wants to hear me talk for an hour or half an hour. I don't even remember how long that video is. But to fully explain it really requires that video. And I know John Barrett, the town moderator, isn't going to let me talk that long. And I don't know that I can give it briefly in a way that won't get any opposition, any extra ammunition. I just ask that as many people as possible watch the other video that talks about supporting veterans, if you only see the title. But it's about Articles 18 and 19. And I thoroughly go over them. I don't think I left anything out on those articles on what they mean and how important they are to me and the veterans of Townsend. So I'm going to get going on this. I don't think I did other videos on things. I've done videos this week. I'm busy. Anyway, so I'm going to go through. There's two actually. When we have an annual town meeting, we actually have two kind of combined. Sort of. There's a special town meeting and beforehand, then there's the annual town meeting. The difference between a special town meeting and an annual is a special 99 times out of 100 is only referring to things in the current fiscal year that we're in. Right now, today, we are in fiscal year 25, and that ends June 30th. The fiscal year for communities in Massachusetts and the state government is July 1st to June 30th. And that's how our budgets run. That's how everything operates. It's supposed to. And so we're going to have a special town meeting to start off the night tomorrow. And that'll cover things that are appropriate, that for legal reasons, that need to be voted on during this fiscal year and only regarding this fiscal year. So there'll be a few articles. It's not that big, but it talks about just this fiscal year. The annual town meeting will cover things that begin July 1st. They affect things that begin on July 1st, primarily financial articles. Financial articles in the special are related to right now. They need to do something with money right now. The annual, they're going to affect next fiscal year, which starts 8 weeks, a little under 8 weeks. Okay. So that sometimes confuses people. I wanted to explain that real quick. And that's how we're going to go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the special town meeting warrant articles. That's what we call the list of articles we're going to vote on. To those that might be new to town meeting, I'm sure there's somebody out there that's getting dragged to town meeting for the first time, and maybe new residents that are first time experiencing a New England town meeting. So welcome aboard. And let me show you what we do and what this is all about. So I got the special ready to go. I'm gonna have to dig up the annual on the next one, but let me try to pull this up. Okay, and my picture isn't blocked. I want to keep my picture there so you can. Actually, let me do something else. How's this? There we go. Is that better? That might be better. Nope, that's no good. That's no good. That's better. Okay. I feel like I'm interacting with you if I do it this way. And then I have to go away myself. You won't see me go away. I'll go away myself. I am going to be just reading this. So this is there'll be a couple of preliminary things that the moderator is going to read and actions he's going to take. But before we start, but those just take up 10 minutes. I'm not going to go into those, but just bear with us. Could be a long evening. I'm sure once we start talking about the budget. Oh Lord. So okay. So special town meeting. We're going to start with. I'm not going to read this. I'm just not. Article 1, reports. Some of these are pretty standard. We have to go over them. To see if the town will vote to hear the reports of boards, committees, or commissions, or take any other action that relative thereto. Every now and then somebody has a report. For the most part, not. It a lot of times this just goes without anybody saying anything. But reports of boards, report, and we have an annual town report is in writing, and those might be available in the back of the room on a table somewhere when you're picking up the warrant, copies of the warrant for you to read, and any associated materials. There also should be, and usually is, a printed annual town report, which is a bound thing with book with a picture of town hall. It's an old picture, but there's a picture of town hall on the cover. And if they had a printer issue, so I know if you were around town hall when they came in, you got one. Otherwise, I hope they have them. They might not. I don't know. We'll see. If they don't have them for the night of town meeting, they will get them very shortly, and you'll have to go back and get them. But this kind of plays into this. Since we have the annual town report in writing, a lot of times people don't bother doing it because it takes up a lot of time at town meeting. All right, current fiscal year financial articles. So this is the special. In Article 2, to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash or other available funds. It is free cash, well, mostly free cash. Okay, the sum of $291,600 or any other sum for the purpose of offsetting the snow and ice deficit, which snow and ice is a unique article. It's a unique line item in the budget. It's the only article that cities and towns in Massachusetts can deficit spend. In other words, we can go into debt without going to town meeting first. And that's because it's New England and it's a weather thing, and we just never know. And the town leadership will try to put money enough. Everybody knows it's never enough, but because they don't want to over budget because then they lose access to the funds. But they always under budget because we can deficit spend. It's complicated. I'm not going to go into the whole how free cash gets created, but this time the town screwed up. But anyway, this is a normal article to transfer from free cash to the amount that we're in deficit on snow and ice. And, because, well, and especially we had that extra little ice event at the beginning of April, which nobody expected. See, I don't know that there's something. There are going to be questions on the floor on this because I'm not sure what they're doing, but I hope somebody asks because they overspent the free cash and they didn't have enough to pay the entire deficit. So I'm not sure where we are with this. So somebody should ask. But this is a normal article. I just not convinced. I don't know that this was enough money. So feel free to ask questions. There's a lot of questions I have. There's a lot of questions everybody should have on this coming up town meeting. All right. Capital plan and capital things we're going to. Okay, this is giving us more money. So Article 3 is to see if the town will close out old warrant articles and reallocate the money somewhere else. And in this case, they want to close out the articles and put it into putting some of the repairs they want to put it in renovations in Memorial Hall, including the replacement of exterior trim, painting, and storm windows. The balances, as indicated below, for the total amount of $53,784.74, or any other sum. Now that I don't know, or take any other action related thereto. So these are what this means is over the years. Sometimes they have to reach back many years, but the accounting department is usually who does this. They reach back, they look at the balance sheets, and they see that there's old article. When we have a town meeting, we vote to spend a certain amount of money to do certain things, particularly capital spending. Like this is got a lot of abbreviations, but back in 2018, we had Article 14, special town meeting, associate costs with chart. I'm not sure what that means. Charter. I'm sorry, got it. They should have spelled charter. But this is they budgeted some money when we were redoing the charter. And this is what's left over. This is money they never spent because there were legal fees, filing fees, review fees, and all these. You had to get professional advice on some of this. And they budgeted this much, but they never spent this much. So it's still sitting there, and nobody in town hall can spend money that was voted on an article in a town meeting without town meeting allowing that. And that's what these articles are about. They never spent it on certain projects, and that includes the town hall roof and the stairs at rec, town meeting 522. Yeah, I don't know why the second one doesn't have a date on it. Memorial Hall Harbor Fire renovation. I believe that was the new Harbor Fire Station. There was some problems there. I think there was a problem with the wall. I don't think it was the old. I'm getting confused now, but a few years ago we had this. But this is $23,000 that was never spent. The above one is $26,000 that was never spent, and this all comes up to $53,000 that's just sitting there with no plans to spend on these projects. So town meeting must reallocate the money, and that's what this article is about. I just hope they figure this out. Our town hall is really having some serious issues, and I just hope they have this figured out. But this money is it's not going anywhere anyway. It's fine to in my book. Go ahead. I'm good with this. Article 4. This is again more stuff. This is to see if there's money in the capital stabilization account that were voted at town meeting, and they need to get moved out. And that is because whenever we do capital spending, we do it in a town meeting warrant article, and these are more that weren't spent. This was the old American Legion, which is no longer in existence, and we built the new. We had to tear it down, if you recall, and they built the new West Townsend Fire Station, and that's where this came from. This is more West Townsend Fire Station, and this is with, I guess we bought a tanker truck, and this is money left over. So again, same story, but it's a different type of warrant article. So that were used, so we have to do that. And that's the whole special town meeting, folks. Okay? So I'm going to get rid of this one, remove, goodbye, stop screen. I'm going to add another one. It's going to take me a second here just to pull up the right one. Window. Where are you? There it is. Share that screen. There we are. I think. Nope, wrong one. How did I do that? Here it is. Do you have it? No. Which one do we have? Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm all right. You're okay. I'm okay. We got it right. Let me go back. The annual town meeting. This is 19 articles long, so bear with me. These have some contention to it. Oh, and if I haven't reminded everybody, town meeting's at the high school this year. It's at the North Middlesex Regional High School in that great auditorium. It's a great time to get to see what it looks like. Since they built it, I forgot what year it was, like 10 years, almost 10 years ago, they built that thing. Yep. So here we are, annual town meeting, Article 1. And we're just going to, this is going to be hopefully a nice, smooth little transition that we go to the annual town meeting from the special. All good. Article 1, again, I don't know why we're reading reports again, but okay. Appointments. All right. Oh, here's the first contentious article. It's fine. To see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to. No, I'm sorry. This is not contentious. This is good. To see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to appoint all town officers unless other provisions are made by general law, blah, blah, blah. This is a required legal article. Just vote for it. Because you have to do this at town meeting to allow the Board of Selectmen to appoint everybody, to give them the authority. And that's you don't want to be having interview candidates for jobs or volunteer positions at town meeting. We'd never get out of there. So that's what we have select board for. But it has to be voted at a town meeting. It's a legal thing. It's okay. There are other positions. This doesn't even include all the positions. Some positions, other things are authorized under Mass General Law to do, but there's a few out there, and this is just fine. Don't sweat this one. This one should be, okay. All in favor? Aye. Zoning bylaws. Here we go. Sometimes these get crazy. These are easy ones though. They really are. This is, although some people are going to complain, but I'd like to sneak this one through. Can I sneak this one through, please? Say yes. Article 3, just say yes. And I'm not being sneaky about it. Maybe a little. No. This is put through by the planning board. And they need to, as you probably heard, if you've been going to meetings, town meetings, the big ones, if you went to the special in March, and this might have come up even before that, I don't even know. But this has been getting kicked around a bit, trying to fix our age-restricted development bylaw. Just in case you aren't aware, we really haven't used this article. The zoning bylaw that we already have very well because it was really incomplete. The age-restricted bylaw never required any age restriction. I know that sounds bizarre, but it's true. That was never properly entered into the original bylaw. So basically, they can't enforce it because there's nothing that sticks. So now they want to fix that so that we can actually have a bylaw that will encourage developers to build age-restricted housing, but also that the town can ensure that it is used for age-restricted housing. Articles like this often get a lot of conversation asking, well, how do you enforce this? And what about these weird family situations? And they're not so weird because you get older people, and 55 is young. I'm telling you, I'm 68. 55 is children. So it wasn't that long ago. It feels like it was yesterday. I was 55. But anyway, this is, it's 55 and over. They're going to actually restrict it now so that it's in there properly. But you have different issues regarding, if you're over 55 and you need one of your adult children to take care of you, can they move in with me? Well, yes. And, but there are not only state laws, but there are local laws. You just can't transfer the property to your 35-year-old son or grandson and move on. That you can't, that's not allowed. And that will be that, but that isn't, we didn't have that restriction before, but we need to put it in to make sure that this remains. I'm looking for something else. They didn't, they took out the part. Wait, did they really take out the part I was looking for? Reasonable, if we're going basic. there are a couple things in here that give the planning board some discretion on some of the issues here, but they're nothing weird. There's no sneaky stuff here. I think people always, oh, it is here. It is here. The word two and substituting therefore the word one. I have to read that again. I think this is the one. I'm sorry, I should have looked this up. Um, this is acres. Just say, I just this is going to bring some problems. This is fine in my book. This changes. I read it again. You there's a spelling error in here, therefore should have an E on the end of it. But the we need to fix this. This article fixes the zoning bylaw for age restricted zoning. And I'm telling you, there haven't been any issues yet. We've not had any issues. We have had some age restricted the buildings that have been built for age restricted, but they're not really. But they're currently being used that way, but there isn't the teeth in it. That's the only difference. And we haven't had any issues. So and to me, this is fine. Article 4, this is a zoning bylaw that is required by FEMA. We have to vote this. We can't change it. We can't edit it. We can't make amendments. We have to allow this to go. Feel free to ask questions, but this is the floodplain overlay district because we do have, as you know, we have a lot of water here. We have the Squanicook and a bunch of tributaries and a lot of wetlands and all this. And we have a floodplain. There's a floodplain that is determined by FEMA. They determine the risk for flooding, and which impacts the residents who have property within the overlay. It allows them, number one, to have flood insurance, and two, I believe, requires them to have flood insurance. So this, because of changes in the ground, the earth, and where flooding is more potential, the FEMA around the country, I think, has, which is a continuous process, but they changed the floodplain areas. So this has to be allowed. The town has to agree to this if we're going to have any insurance from FEMA to cover any losses that might be affected by this. But unfortunately, I think, pretty sure, I've never lived in this, but I think flood insurance can be expensive. So sometimes homeowners aren't real thrilled about this, but it's, we have to vote this in. We can't change it. We can't say no. We could, but it would be disastrous if we did. And it's kind of a lengthy thing. I think they'll probably try to waive the reading. It just goes on and on. It goes there's a lot of specifics because it's building code and all this stuff to make sure that we're in compliance. And FEMA really gave us this, been reviewed by town council. This is something we have to do. And that's it. We have to do this. And I don't want anybody to do something they're uncomfortable with, but we have a lot of articles. We don't have that many, but we have a lot of debatable articles on this town meeting. So my 2 cents, just vote this quick. Don't spend a lot of time on this. If you got a question, ask it, but there's nothing really to debate. You should read this. All of this is on the town's website, front page. In the notices little thing, it comes up there's a pop-up next as you open the website. It's the town meeting articles are there. You can read them. If you have questions about this, read it overnight, tonight, read it all day, read it at town meeting. This is still going. I'm moving this page, and there's a lot. I hope nobody has to read this. out loud. And the building inspector shall be responsible for enforcement. Oh, Lord. So, yeah, but the building inspector, I think, might. Yeah, no, he will. Okay, here's another one. Article 5. This is more changing the floodplain. There's a picture. So Article 4 and 5 are all about the floodplain. Article 6, to see if the town will vote to amend the general bylaws by establishing or by adding a new chapter 139, the Community Preservation Committee. This is, I think you should look at this. I think I don't have any feelings about this one way or the other, but as I was reading this, this is subject to change. We can always change this at a following town meeting. This is regarding, if you remember last fall, we voted in the Community Preservation Act, which is going to, next year, create that additional surcharge that we're going to all get on our property taxes for community preservation. It's 1% of the tax we're paying, not 1% of the property value. It's 1% of the tax we pay will be an additional surcharge for this, unless you can, which a lot of people are going to be exempt, but unless you are exempt based on your household income and the makeup of your household in the property. That's those are, yeah. So we already voted that in. Now, in order to spend the money in a CPA account, you have to have a community preservation committee. And now we have to vote that in. Now that we've passed the fact that we're going to have this fund, and we have to have, in this particular case, we're following Mass General Law 44B. So the law requires us to have this committee, and it's going to have 7 voting members. And there are different categories where the members can be from. And this is whoever put this article together, which I'm not sure. The town isn't telling us who presented these articles, which is not the usual fare. We usually know who's submitting these articles, which board or committee these came from. So we don't know. There's no such thing as a community preservation. So they couldn't have put it up because they don't exist. So I don't know who made this up. I just don't know. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. Hold on. Okay. So this tells us how to, the whole committee designation, and this is who they're planning on putting on. 1 member of the Townsend Conservation Commission, and that will be these are just designated by the committees themselves on who gets on this new committee. So 1 member from the Conservation Commission, 1 member of the Historical Commission, that's bizarre. This will be, there's some, this needs conversation because there's people trying to remove our Townsend Historic Commission. I'm not sure. They're trying to make them silent. I don't know. It's kind of weird. So I'm concerned about this one. This is, I think the state's might have to get involved in this one. But anyway, 1 member of the Townsend Planning Board and 1 member of Cemetery and Parks, 1 member of the Housing Authority. And 2 members to be appointed at large by the Board of Selectmen. They must be residents of Townsend and they cannot be town employees. Well, that's easy. Most of our employees don't live in Townsend. So that's easy. But anyway, they can't be employees anyway of any kind, but you have to be a resident. All right. Now let me go back to the Townsend Housing Authority. We now only have 2 members. That's still not a quorum. So the Townsend Housing Authority cannot hold a legal meeting. So they cannot designate a member of their authority in order to be on this committee. So there's a question that somebody should ask town council at town meeting. because should that not be able to happen, would the who how would the replacement member be designated? Would it be by the Townsend Select Board, or would it just remain vacant? How does one get appointed if there is no Townsend Housing Authority that has a quorum? And the Townsend Housing Authority cannot have a quorum until such time as the select board appoints somebody. Of course, that's probably it. I'm probably going off of rail here, but the select board will have to appoint somebody to the housing authority because they don't have enough members. If anybody wants to be on the housing authority, which I don't see a point in it, because since we don't have any housing that is under the direction of the town. So there we go. All right. And this goes on to, they'll be appointed for 3-year terms and a bit overlapping. I don't know why they came up with this. Historic district only gets 1-year term and everybody else gets 2. Oh, this is initial. Okay. Establishing a committee, things get a little dicey. So it is all going to be good. Any vacancy shall be filled by the commission, authority, or board that designated the member who creates. Okay. The CPC, they'll have the normal thing. If somebody's interested in the down and dirty work that's involved in this article, certainly you should read this. This is most likely strictly following Mass General Law. I'm sure it's almost boilerplate to another community somewhere, but this is a requirement that we have to have a committee. There's no money yet, and there won't be right away, but there's going to be at some point. But they'll be deciding once the money starts pouring in, and there won't be a lot, but once it starts pouring in, these people have to meet and decide how they're going to, what the projects would be that they, or where they would want to spend the money. And it is covered in additional state law on what can be considered to be that they can spend their money on. It's limited. It's pretty limited. But it's not like regular town budget thing. So you don't have to worry about that. So Article 7. Oh, it's not on here, but it was submitted by petition. This is a very important article. Some people aren't sure about it. I did do a video on this separately back in the fall when the petition was starting to be circulated. This is, I'll read it. To see if the town will vote in accordance with the Town of Townsend Charter 3-2, Selectman A, composition and term of office to change from 3 to 5 members as determined by a 2/3 vote of the annual town meeting, provided that such vote is ratified by the voters of the town at the next annual town. Oh, shit. At the next annual town meeting, and that such 5-member board. This was a typo. I don't believe that was a typo. That was in the petition. Uh-oh. It should say at the next annual town election, and that such 5-member board would have 3 overlapping terms, so arranged that as nearly an equal number of members as possible shall expire each year or take any other action in relation thereto. This is going to require an amendment because this was a typo. This should say, such vote is ratified by the voters of the town at the next annual town meeting. It should say election. Right there, it should say election. Otherwise, this is just junk. So we need to amend this on the floor before much happens at all. I will prepare that amendment and hopefully it will get in. And then, it will, you guys will let it, nobody's going to say no, but this, in order to make it legal, it has to be election. And I got to check the original petition. Ouch. Ouch, ouch. Okay, this is making me, I'm unhappy right now. I don't know if it could have been a typo in the select board office, or it could have been the petition that had the error. I kind of doubt it. We'll see. I mean, we'll fix it. It's just, but anyway, this was, right now we have a 3-member board, and we're move it to 5, which many communities in the state have gone to 5, because there's just so much work select board members need to do. And for Townsend, let me remind you that it was just a few months ago that we had no board of selectmen. We had 2 of our 3 members of the board of selectmen resigned within a month of each other, leaving 1 member of the board, and 1 member of the board is not a quorum, so no business could be conducted. And then that was shortly followed, once we did have to call a special election to get the 2 that we currently have. Then our previously 3rd member then resigned herself. So we were in a big mess. And we still to this day have never been informed as to what went on, what kind of decisions were made without the benefit of a board of selectmen. No one in town hall ever informed us of anything that transpired during that couple months that we had no elected officials in that position. So it's pretty disturbing what happened. And if we can have a 5-member board, 2 members can quit all day long, and we would still have, oh my goodness, 3. The issue would only come up if we had to have that, if a 3rd member did resign. But that is particularly unusual. If you want to avoid that, we can go to a 7, but which actually the town of Wakefield has 7, believe it or not. But we have 5. We want to have 5 so that we can cover this issue. So sometimes people will say to me, well, we have trouble getting people to run for anything. We've never had a problem getting people to run for selectmen. There's never a shortage of people wanting to be in charge. There is a shortage of people who want to do the work underneath in all these other committees and stuff. They don't want to get involved with that. But if you ask people who wants to be in charge, oh, I'll do it. People do. Usually there's a contested race, sometimes not. And in this particular last election, we had 1 person ran, and she automatically pretty much won. She did win. She didn't pretty much win. She did. So that yeah. So I asked that the town do pass this. I'm going to pause my recording of this. You won't. Hopefully, it's just not going to even show. If I can find pause. Okay, everybody. You missed the pause, but I paused recording this video because I had to deal with. I wasn't going to let this go by. I wasn't going to get it out of my head until I fixed it. So this article, the article's fine. It's not fine as it's written. This does not match the petition that was submitted. There were some typos made. Actually, oh, I don't know how this happened. Okay, there were some typos made, and I don't know. What am I looking at? I'm sorry. There were some typos made on this, and that had to be addressed because it makes the article make no sense. And I went back and checked the petition. I initiated the petition, to let you know that. So I have the original petition, or a copy of the original petition that was submitted to the Board of Selectmen and kept on file in the town clerk's office as an official election record, which is where it belongs. And I called the town clerk's office to make sure that I didn't screw up. And I checked the copy that I have on my desk, and everything was fine. The right way was proper in all my copies. And when the administration of the Board of Selectmen office put it onto the warrant, they put these typos in place. So I This is very interesting. This is not the way it, I don't know. Anyway, the part where it says annual town meeting twice, it can't be. I will, what's going to happen, let me just basically tell you, I will be making a motion on the floor as soon as this article is read. I fired off an email to the select board administration, town clerk, and the town moderator, John Barrett, to let them know this is coming. And as soon as the article is read by the Board of Selectmen, I will be standing to make a motion to make an amendment in which I will make these corrections that need to be on here. They're minor, but they're legal. That would make it, we don't want to do this. It has to be at the town election. The second vote has to be at the election next year. So that has to be proper in the article. It's okay to make a motion on the floor to make a correction to this article, but I'll be making that. And the second thing that I already knew I probably needed to do, I would have been asking town council on the floor about the need to do it, but I'm going to fix it anyway. Since we're doing an amendment anyway, I might as well fix it regardless. That it says at the very first sentence, it talks about the selectmen. And we did change in the charter, it's select board. So when I did the petition, the new charter had not been adapted or accepted by the state yet. So it hadn't been approved. So I had to do the petition under the current charter at the time, which had selectmen. So I'm going to make that amendment on the floor before we even get into any debate on this. So it'll be correct. So that's my next, when I finish this video, I'll be typing up that motion so I can easily submit it at town meeting. Which anybody that ever wants to make if you're going to make a motion and you know in advance you're going to do it, it's a good idea to type it up before you go. That way you don't have to, because you have to stop everything. Everything stops until you write your motion, and then you have to submit it to the town clerk and the moderator for ratification. So I'll be doing that as soon as I finish doing this video. So that's that article. Whew, I'm glad I did this video because I would have missed this and we would have been up a creek. It would have been invalid. And I would have missed the whole thing until, no, I wouldn't have. I would have caught it. I would have caught it, right? I would have caught it. Okay, revolving fund articles. Oh, this is where we start to have fun. See if the town will vote pursuant to General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, and in accordance with Chapter 104 of the town's general bylaws, to authorize the following fiscal year 26 spending limits for the following revolving funds. These revolving funds we already voted on to have them exist, and we've always had spending limits that when some of these funds receive money, like from residents throughout the year, like the recycling. When we go to the recycling center, we pay a couple bucks here and there for the things that we're getting rid of. We have to pay for disposal. They're more going into trash than they are recycling, but they're things that require, we have to get rid of that. Oh no. Okay, this video is full of glitches, isn't it? Some of my old videos started playing in the background. Sorry for that interruption. But anyway, we have these. Wow, I got to be able to catch that in a heartbeat. It's probably going to happen again. But we have to, the money, if we just paid to the recycling center, the $5, $10, $30, whatever it is, and the town, the recycling, the Board of Health basically would get this money and they'd have to deposit it with the treasurer. If we didn't have revolving funds, that money would all just go into the general fund, and we'd have to have articles at town meeting in order for the Board of Health to spend any money. But because the recycling center in particular, they have to pay for, all those trailers that collect a lot of the stuff, and there's expenses related to just running the recycling center on a day-to-day basis that we have. They make it a revolving fund, so the money stays with the Board of Health, and the Board of Health can spend it through the authorization that we're going to give them. 45,000. I mean, off the top, are we really paying that much? Well, probably some of the money is probably coming out of grants and things that are finding their way in there. I'm not sure. If you have questions about these funds, we can ask them at town meeting floor, and some people usually do. But these are monies that come in from a variety of sources directed towards these departments for these specific purposes. And we've allowed town meeting, at the request of a number of people over the years, have created these funds, like firearms licensing. When you go apply for a firearms license or renewal, you pay the police department the fee, and it goes, instead of going into the general fund, it goes, and it doesn't stay with the police unless we have a revolving fund. And this is part of that revolving fund. And it would be accounted for different ways. And you can go through this list. There's nothing strange. Having the limits provides some oversight by the town to make sure that there isn't too much money that is not supervised in these accounts. So, and I know some of these numbers seem a little high, but they're not. When you think of what does it cost to do business today, I mean, it does. These are realistic numbers from what I've been able to review and define. Fine. So, yeah. Now, here's another one. Article 9. This is an interesting one. I'm not a fan, but I'm going to read it to you. Actually, this is just adding a new revolving fund, and I don't like it. I think it's dumb. This is Town Hall Public Records request. They want to have a public records revolving account for public records request fees. The select board doesn't do this. The select board doesn't take care of the public records. If they're going to take over public records requests, first of all, I'm pretty frightened that I don't want them. I want a professional to take care of this. I want somebody who's really the public records person is by really, I think by statute, the town clerk. The town clerk processes all the public records requests. Most public records requests shouldn't even require a fee. I know that the Board of Selectmen was trying to pass some kind of policy of expanding, making everybody pay $25 just for the pleasure of making a public records request. And it's quite disturbing. And the fact that the select board now wants to that they're in charge of the money, if they collect any, that there's a lot of laws, there's a lot of appeals that are probably expected to be done on some of the public records requests that are pending under their new policy, which is going to exceed the legal fees to deal with the appeals that the select board has created, this nightmare. I don't think $5,000 will cover it anyway, but to cover the cost of personnel fulfilling public records requests. Another reason I'm really concerned about this is that everybody fulfilling any of these public requests are already being paid. Are we going to pay this money on top of their salary? Are they going to get a bonus? Because if they're I don't understand. And I don't think that the select board should have the authority to spend money and then on this. And this covers public records requests that could really extend to departments that don't even fall under them. So, or they're making determinations that are outside their purview. It should remain within the town clerk's office. And I think keeping an accounting of these public records request fees that may be collected, which from time to time they do, if a requester is asking for something huge and which requires a lot of research, the town can legally perfectly fine to require the requester to pay the cost of digging up files that are just harder to find. They're not just at the push of a button. and from time to time, people do pay these fees because they really want these records. So the this, but I don't like this at all. I'm very concerned about what this even means. As far as, is this to control who's making public records, and what is the money for? What are they going to? What is the Board of Selectmen going to spend the money on when the fees come in? What do they plan on spending the money on? I'm not. I really have. It's going to go into salaries that we've already approved, or is this going to be transferred? I mean, it would still require town meeting to transfer the money out of this fund if it doesn't go directly to the actual cost. Which how does it cover the cost? The personnel cost of personnel, they're already paid. So I'm very concerned about the parameters of this. So I am against it. I don't like it. I just don't like it. If we have costs, we need to be fair and reasonable and follow the law on public records. If people want a public record, and just because somebody doesn't want to release the record, tough. There are laws that protect people. You have the right, as a public, we have the right to ask for things, and we have the right to get them. If just because you don't like it, I don't know. I think we've already got a can of worms open that there's a lot of, I think the Board of Selectmen are already acting in ways that could cause more appeal, which of public records requests, and could cost the town more in legal fees. I just made a public records request, and I've been advised that there might be a fee associated with it. And if I don't like the fee that they give me, I can appeal to the state to make a determination on whether the fee is too much, and that will involve legal costs for the town. Because it's very unusual that a town would respond to an appeal like that without using a lawyer. So I don't know. I don't know what they want to do, but I don't like it. I don't like Article 9. Okay, Article 10 is simply an override to see if the town will raise and appropriate a sum of money outside of Proposition 2.5 to balance the budget for fiscal year 26, or take any other action there too. This is basically asking for an override, in which they don't have a sum of money in mind right now. If they don't put a number in there, then you can take all the money you want as an override. No, so I know we already landslide vote at the town election said no to an override. So I guess we're going to do it again, but it's still there. So this is to see if raise and appropriate and transfer from available funds. I don't think this is worded properly. This should be transfer. There shouldn't, raise and appropriate should be removed. When they read this article, it's going to say to see if the town will vote to transfer from it. I don't like, this is, what? See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds in the treasury such sums that may be necessary to defray the charges and expenses of the town. This doesn't even make sense. This doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. This doesn't make any sense. Right here, this makes no sense. They transfer from fund to the purpose. This is in the wrong place. This doesn't even belong here. This transfer from doesn't belong in Article 11. That's a different, that can't be there. That can't be there. I don't know. This doesn't, those transfer fund stuff here, this doesn't belong there. That must be removed. I don't get this. Who typed this? This, okay, but this is the budget. Article 11 is the budget, but this transfer fund stuff doesn't belong there. There should be an article to allow for the transfer from these funds. That should be a different article. I just hope it's here somewhere, because they can't add it. They cannot add this. But the budget is, it's okay. Wow. Yeah. This is the budget. Who typed this? This is basically the budget. They're saying the detailed budget is 28 million. First they give us, which actually I previously reported that this was all they were going to give us, and we were going to have to vote on the entire budget like this. What am I looking at? They gave us they put trash back in? I'm losing my mind. I've really lost it right now. I don't even know if I'm going to do this video. I may delete it. I'm so disgusted. This is not what the Board of Selectmen voted on. Oh, that is exactly true. Oh my gosh. See, I got all messed up on that previous article. That this is not. This is not. Oh man. I'm okay. Article 11, as printed in the warrant, is not the article. Okay? I don't know, my brain left me. I'm going through this warrant as though it's real. This is not real. I'm sorry. This is not what you're voting on. This has been voted on by the board to change these numbers in their entirety. I don't think there's a number on here that's right. Oh, maybe insurance and debt service and the schools might be correct. Yes, those are the only ones that are correct. This is all garbage. Okay. I'm going to just quickly try to scroll down here. There is another, I'm going to pull up. I don't really want to even go through the budget because it's a waste of both of our times. Can't even hardly read it. Nobody's going to be able to read this. This is not the budget, okay? I just got to let people know. It's not. They've changed it. So let's move on. To see if the town will fix the salaries and compensation of all elected officers in the town. This one I have issues with. This is actually, it doesn't say town clerk because the way they have to word it, the town clerk is the only elected officer that we have. So that's the only elected office that's paid. So in this article, we fix the salaries and compensation of the town clerk, and the select board are pulling some fancy business, and they put they've cut the salary of the town clerk nearly in half and put that in the budget that way, which is just adding insult to injury. And as a town, we need to not allow this to happen, because this goes back to the attempt at the previous special town meeting to make the town clerk an appointed position. And this is just, okay, we'll show you. And I think we need to know, no, we'll show you that we can put dollar amounts in this article. And I suggest that we do so. We should put, I'm hoping that either Kathy or Kathy Spofford, our leaving town clerk, or Harrison, our new town clerk, actually puts a number in here to actually fix the salaries and compensation. I'm sorry, to put a number, and should be somewhere around 100,000. And the reason I say 100,000, that's not what Kathy was making for salary, but a number that fixes the salary and also pays for compensation. That would include insurances if Harrison is going to take any. Um, I'm not sure where this is all falling, but even though he's elected, he's an employee, and this was cleared up with town council a couple months ago on what this all means and the authority of the town clerk. Select board does not have authority over the town clerk, so we need to start taking more control over this difficulty here. And I think that in order to protect our rights as voters, to protect our elected official, we need to put actual salary amounts in this article. It's unfortunate that we have to go this route, but we do. It's not up to the Board of Selectmen. It's up to us. Please understand that. Water Enterprise, Article 13. To see if the vote will appropriate the sum of $2,169,359.62 for the Water Enterprise Fund from water revenues to fund the department. And there's it takes a lot of money to run that place. That's why we're paying the water bills. And this does not come out of our budget. This is strictly water revenue. They are a separate entity within our town, and we're just transferring money from the enterprise fund to operate the water department. And then we pay, also the water department also transfers, they even give the town money to pay their, because we do think the town hall does some things for them, administrative costs the town incurs to help the water department. So we scoop some of their money from the water bills in order to pay some of the things. Like we pay our water bill in the treasurer's office, and the water department compensates the town for that. So that's just one thing. So this is, sometimes people ask questions about this on town floor, and that's fine, but it's really pretty simple. A lot of the articles are just, we just have to do it. Article 14. This is the capital stabilization spending. They did reduce this, I believe. Some of this is concerning, they had over almost $800,000 on here, and they want to borrow a lot of money. And right now, I don't know. Let's see. There's another page. Yeah, they're not saying much here, but these are all being paid for with capital stabilization money, and then one of them from general fund and one from water enterprise retained earnings. The fourth one is, again, water money. It's not out of our taxes. The police, they lease. We keep talking about this at multiple meetings, but we're leasing 4 cruisers, and which is the best way to go. I remember, I think I was on the capital stabilization committee when we made this happen. And it was very clear, and it still remains very clear, that leasing the cruisers is the best way to go. We don't end up having to declare things surplus and sell them, and it's just bonkers. And this certainly makes sure we always have fully functional, good operating cruisers out there that are up to date. And so we got to pay that lease payment, and that comes basically out of the general fund. I think at one time it was a budget item. I don't know. Anyway, facilities. We're required. We need update on the fire suppression. Even if those who want to put this off, I don't think we can because of our insurance. Something happened. Insurance might not pay, or we might have to pay a higher premium. So we're just going to get this done. Okay. So highway wants a new loader. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the 4th year of a 5-year lease. So again, this is a lease payment. Basically ongoing expenses. Water, again, this is another water item because water is a risk of terrorism. We have, which is really important, they have requirements because of the fund, some of the grant funding that we're getting with in order to make the water treatment facility operating. They have to do a cybersecurity assessment, and it's paid for out of water retained earnings. Highway is wants a six-wheel dump truck with plow and sander, and they want us to borrow that with the first payment coming out of capital stabilization. That's kind of wishy-washy to me. Um, I don't know. We're I'm gonna wait for explanations on this to say that we need this now, and then of course, we should all be asking about tariffs. Will that change the price? Because we don't have it. They want to borrow the money to buy one, and it hasn't been built yet. I don't know that it's sitting somewhere waiting for us to just buy it off the lot. If it is, and there's no tariffs, that's a little bit better. I don't know where we stand on this. I do. I know highway. We need to support our highway. I'm just not. I don't have enough information about this to have an opinion. Article 16, to see if the town will raise and appropriate $10,000 to fund the property data verification program from the assessor's office. This is money that we have to do in order to have our properties evaluated, basically, to inspect the periodic inspections to make sure that our properties are properly taxed. Voting this down will not help. Okay. It won't change. It won't make it easier for us to not pay our taxes. So we need to, this is just an automatic. This is an administrative cost of the assessor's office, and we have to vote this. This is a regular and recurring vote. Okay. Oh, this is another regular and recurring vote. We have to move money from Comcast gives us a percentage of their gross revenues because we contract with them for our cable and internet. Our cable, I should say. All right. So we don't contract with them for internet, just in case you didn't know that. But we get internet from them. The but it's not part of the PEG access stuff. But we get 5% of their gross annual revenues for the purposes of running TCAM, basically. But because we've got TCAM, which is proper to be a nonprofit, it's their own little organization over there, but function almost a function of the town. We have to give them the money. It's just a thing, but we have to vote for it, which is good. This helps us know what's going on. And in just a few short weeks, I'll be reporting how many cable subscribers we have dropped to. Should be interesting. But this article is just, we have to automatically do this. There's almost always somebody asks a question about it. It's another one of those. Yeah, just vote it. Here are the articles for the veterans exemptions. I beg of you to, first of all, I want you to pass both of these. And I want you to vote to, well, I want you to, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this right now. I'm going to, okay, Nelson answered me. I got to go back and look at that. Yeah, I did a separate video on my channel yesterday on these articles. I really ask you to please watch that video to understand what these two articles are about. These really update the veterans exemptions that we're already giving, and it's just updating them to a more modern amount that equates. It actually equates to the value of these exemptions from 20 years ago. And it balances because we gave a flat dollar amount on veterans exemptions, but yet taxes have increased exponentially over the last 20 years. The values of property and the exemptions have exponentially grown, but the exemption dollar amount has stayed steady. These articles bring it back, those exemptions up to the value that they were 20 years ago. That's all these really do. Um, and one sets the first one, Article 18, simply sets an ongoing for the future cost of living increase, sort of CPI, using the CPI to add a couple of bucks onto each year, so that we don't find ourselves trying to justify this in another 20 years. And it just makes things fair. It levels the playing field again for veterans. All right, so that is short of the budget. I'm going to try to bring up the budget as it really is, but I grabbed this off the website. I apologize for kind of getting stuck on the when I went over. I think it's Article 11 or something. Is it 11 or 14? 11. Article 11 is supposed to be the budget, and what's printed in the warrant is bad. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back here. Oh, I'm way down below here. Hi. All right. I'm going to get the regular warrant out of here. Get that gone. I'm going to see. I have to find it again. I had it. Let's see. I'm going to close that. This is. All right. Give me a moment. Bear with me. In fact, wait a minute. Hold on. I'm not doing that. I'm going to pause. That's easier. Okay, I'm back again. I left for a moment. You didn't even notice the moment, but I left for a moment to pull up the new budget, and I'm telling you, this budget was voted on in executive session by the Board of Selectmen. No one had any input except them, um, and I'm telling you, it's in my opinion, it's an illegal executive session to do this, but they did it in executive session. So I'm going to pull this up. I showed this already. This part, which is the only thing that they voted on outside. They voted on what I'm about to show you, the first slide. They voted on this when they came out of executive session without discussion. All the discussion and determinations and filling in the blanks was all done in executive session. And when they came out, they only voted on the major categories without any conversation whatsoever in open session regarding the line items in the budget. So these whole line item thing was all done behind closed doors, in my opinion, completely illegally. The numbers that make up the line items in the budget was all done outside of an open meeting. And they have to admit that, because that's exactly what happened. And it's either on or not on video because they were in executive session. And you can watch the selectmen's meeting and see for yourself. It's a very lengthy meeting, but the end of the meeting is when they last 20 minutes, 10 minutes, not even 10 minutes, is what shows the public what they did. You have to watch the unfortunate 2.5 hours in order to catch every word that they said regarding what they were about to do in executive session, which I've done. I was present. I was there. So I know what happened. And I also have the video, which I'll be submitting to the Attorney General on my open meeting law complaint, which will be the second open meeting law complaint that is going in on this. Harrison Mayotte, our town clerk, also filed an open meeting law complaint on this same issue. I'll be doing one too. And because I always include video, so that's once I put it together, I'm going to submit it. But even though there's already one in, I'm going to do my own, just because that's me. Going to do my own thing, and that's what I'm doing. So let me pull this up. There it is. Oh, let me change my orientation. Oh, Oh. Try it again. Nope. Does that work? You know what? I'm just going to go to the full thing. We'll just see the whole thing. I'm going to get myself out of the way. You don't need me. So this is the functional, what they call the functional segment. And this is all they voted on. This is all they voted on in open meeting, which means that's all they voted on and is the major categories. And this will should be in a handout when you get to town meeting. It is on the website in the very last thing that they have listed for the town meeting materials. The budget that's in the warrant, just delete it. Doesn't it ain't real. This is the new one. And this is the cuts they made as a result of the override not passing. And the biggest one, of course, is trash. They took trash off. Trash is no longer in the budget. They cut solid waste management by 97%. In a number, I went over this before a little bit, but they cut highway 20% almost, over, well, 19 something. And public safety went up, education went up, insurance went up, and so did debt service. Not too happy about debt, but what am I going to do? The I haven't gone. I'll be honest with you. I haven't gone through every line of this budget because it was not done properly. It's not even fully inclusive, from what I've been told. It has. Gotta check something. Oh, I got the wrong thing up. Darn it. Okay, so I fixed the problem. I had a problem here. I had the wrong file up, so it wasn't showing the way I wanted it to. But this is the line by line budget. It's got. There's apparently, I have not gone through every line of this to see what they actually changed in this. We're going to have to do this at the town meeting. And there are, from what I've been told, there are the line items for the departments in which they intend to make cuts to salary. The positions have been removed. They're included in the large, the department total, but the actual the line item that would include identifying any kind of where these cuts are being made is not there, and they have every intention of keeping that from the voters. So this is a no-go as far as I'm concerned. We should not approve this budget in any way. It just, no. Some of these, yes, like giving an example. I don't even know where to go. Oh, town clerk salaries. I'll just use that one because I already knew about this one. If you look at town clerk salaries, nope, that won't work. I can't highlight it for some reason in here. I'm not in PDF, I'm in preview. So you've got town clerk salary, supposedly 70,000. Operating staff is cut to 27. But then the total is 75. So it's got to get cut even more. This is bonkers. So there's positions that are being cut, but no explanation. And there's positions that aren't even listed here. There's things that they're not even here, so I can't tell you. Concom wages, conservation support. Blank. Don't ask me. I have to make line by line comparisons to see what kind of games they're playing. But there's nothing I can do. They're not giving any information. Oh, they're cutting land use wages, 20,000. I don't know what they're doing. I just don't know what they're doing. They're not putting in proposed cuts under proposed cuts. They just put override cuts. What does this even mean? Proposed cuts and override cuts. What's the difference? March. Uh, this isn't going to work. Yet departments where they don't want to cut their salary is fine. I'm sorry I'm going so fast through these. But facilities, see, they're not talking about facilities. They don't want to give us the numbers, but they do want, they are leaving a total, like the salaries can total this, but somebody is either getting laid off or their salaries being, somebody's going to get laid off. It has to be that way. If you cut people's salaries too much, they're going to leave anyway. But then you still risk a legal battle, because even though the town is self-funded on unemployment, an employee can go to unemployment and say this equates to a layoff. It's not just it's not a voluntary anything. So something in the treasurer's office is getting cut, but they're not telling us what, because this has to go down to somebody. Yeah, somebody's got to lose out. There's who knows what this is. This is crazy. Accounting. Yeah, I predict some of our really key people are leaving when this is all said and done. It's too bad. And then when we go to try to hire people, it's going to cost us even more than we were paying these people. That's what I suspect, because, we don't have a situation out there in the professional world where people are desperate for work. There are employers desperate to hire. And I don't see, it's too bad. I'm concerned some of the positions. I'm not going to name the ones I'm particularly concerned about, but it's just too bad that this is sticking it where it doesn't belong. I also want to tell you, I'm going to go back to the budget is a mess. They're only giving us these full segments and not even the budget. There's blank spaces. They've blanked out things that they don't want to. Oh, and they're going to have an excuse that, we can't tell you that. Then we can't tell you our vote. That's my opinion. We won't vote until you tell us. And if you don't want to tell us, I guess we can, do what Congress does. Shut down the government on June 30th. Everybody stay home. That's it. It's over if you don't want to play. And I mean, I'm not real. I think that is overstating it. I am being ridiculous by saying that. We need to secure this budget, but we can't, it's not going to happen Tuesday. And I do want to say that there is, I know my video here is a little wishy-washy and choppy, but there is an alternate budget being presented from what I understand. And I think that the existence of the alternate budget is the only reason that this budget got put up on the town meeting. I mean, the town website. I do believe that the fact that some citizens got together and put together an alternate budget caused the select board to do something outside of a public meeting yet again and produce this crazy presentation that was actually done in closed session, in executive session. And even to be able to release it, they didn't have a vote in open session to do that. So there's no vote at all by the Board of Selectmen, legal vote, to present the budget as it stands right now, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. I'm not a lawyer. I don't trust this at all. But I want to state that there are some citizens that put together, it includes a couple members of the FinCom, and some other citizens. They're going to, I know they're going to speak at town meeting. I don't know how it's going to be in, interjected, but I think the budget conversation is going to be a very long one and very messy. And I think I don't like what was presented. The alternate budget was presented at the FinCom meeting last week. I had some issues with it, and Veronica Kell was there, and believe it or not, I'm actually going to go on record and saying I agree with Veronica on a couple of her points that she made, because it was clear that the people putting together the budget, the alternate budget, really doesn't understand the legal on some of the line items. Don't have, they're just not, it's not clear. It's, well, the clear, if you understand budgeting, or if you understand some of the laws pertaining to some of the line items on where the money comes from. It's not simply, I mean, how the how the numbers get assigned. How can you not, they want to, in some of them they wanted to transfer money from an account and put it into an account that doesn't have any money in it, and it wouldn't. Like, you want to write checks to people on top of this? So it didn't make any sense. Some of the things that, because they just don't understand all about the municipal budgeting. And I'm not, I, I mean, it's good. I'm happy to see citizens stepping up. And I have said over the last few years, if the Board of Selectmen will not come up with a budget, we have no choice but as voters to do a line by line. We're going to sit here at town meeting and get comfortable and go line by line and make our own budget. And we'll sit here for days if necessary if the Board of Selectmen won't do it properly. If they claim they can't and their hands are tied, well, our hands aren't. We'll just do it ourselves. And this is an end result of that kind of interaction, that the Board of Selectmen just are incapable of coming up with a budget. So the citizens have no choice. So I'm not trying to criticize the citizens for stepping up. I just don't like what they came up with either. And at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, and all through the day, the Board of Selectmen, and particularly the town administrator, are tasked legally and procedurally to present the budget to the town. It's their job. And it is their job. They have access to town council. They have access to the expertise. They have access to the town accountant, the treasurer, each of the actual departments who spit out the numbers, the bean counters in every category. That's why I list accountant and treasurer. They have different roles in this. The accountant is probably one of the best tools to use for some of these and some of the categories. She's her role isn't everything. That's why the treasurer has to provide some input, but it's more accounting to me. Then you have, the town administrator. He's there day in and day out. He has to. This is his biggest job, and to try to figure out, be knowledgeable first of where this money comes from. What do all these things mean on this spreadsheet? Because it's not just a spreadsheet that you can just move numbers around, and because they're in different categories, and they have to be able to make recommendations on the hard decisions. And I know that a lot of folks, almost everybody I've spoken to, is on the same page on, we can't have public safety be a sacred cow. Um, but people are afraid to speak out. I'm not, but I'm a realist on this. They've made public safety a sacred cow, and I think that I'm just speaking about Chief Sawtell. I believe that he gets it. I have not discussed the budget with him. I don't. I'm not a, you know, somebody that wants to decimate the police by, just shrinking it to an unusable, dangerous situation for the town. I don't think we're in any danger. And I've spoken to seasoned law enforcement people who are floating around Townsend. I'm going to refer to them in that manner, whether they're current or former police officers here or elsewhere. They're in capacities of knowledge of police budgeting as well, as well as my own experience in Townsend, knowing the size of our police department versus the budget, uh, versus population, and what kind of things happen in this town, including the things that we don't see every day. There's a lot of secrecy there too. That, do we need a police state? I mean, do we need? We're going to be buying tanks before long. Now they're getting a dog. Why? But I mean, we need to temper this, and I think that public safety needs to be on the table, not the whole thing. I don't want to devastate the place. No, no, no. But they just can't be a sacred cow. All right. That's all. That's all I'm saying. And we need to feel safe. Safe. Actually, we have to feel safe to say that in public. We need to feel that, the police aren't going to come after us because we're speaking out that, hey, maybe we need to lay off a cop. That would be the way to do it, not like cut here and, we're going to take away your pencils like they did to some departments, public cutting office supplies is an important thing. We don't need to print so much stuff anymore. Society is, some towns don't print town reports at all. So, and that can be done, and it doesn't have to overtime. No, you can do it without overtime, and the police and the police union know that, but they're not. Oh no, they're going to argue that it would be overtime. No, it wouldn't. Management discretion, and if you have that, there is discretion on that, and it's not an overtime issue. So don't say that to me again, because I'm getting upset about it. I've been in unions. I know about the rights of management to cut positions. And I know the police department can function without one person and without overtime, unless something bad happens. If a plane crashes, if we have a major fire that takes multiple buildings, and we have a major crime spree going all at the same time, okay, we'll have some overtime, and we're gonna oh my okay. Anyway, that's the budget. So I hope this has been helpful. I think that the budget needs to be discussed more, and I don't think that it's ready for prime time. I don't think the budget is ready for town meeting at all, and it's a shame, but I don't think it's ready for town meeting. And that's my thing. I mean, good luck. If you voted in, you voted in. It's your right to do that. But I think this might need to be passed over, tabled. I don't know what the terminology is, but we need to rethink this. If there's a presentation of an alternate budget, I think it's only going to muddy the water. It is the role of the Board of Selectmen to get their act together, and they just haven't done that. So, all right. So I will see you at town meeting. Hopefully what time is it? Oh, hopefully this is up online in time for you to review it prior to going to town meeting tomorrow. But there you have it. I've been spitting out videos to help you guys get the information. So, okay. So have at it. I will see you at town meeting. Just play this video again if you need to check anything out. All right. Thank you. Hmm.